As you can see on semi, very spammable. Alright guys, so I have an airsoft gun to do a video on. So this is a customer's gun from California. Now this is the third or fourth gun I've worked on for him, so he is a regular customer, if you will. This is a Matrix LMG is what it's called, but it's like Golden Eagle is basically the OEM. So in other words, it's basically just like in terms of internals, it's just a cheap Cyma JG. Comes with crappy gears, the carrot like orange piston, no MOSFET or anything like that. It's pretty crappy internals. Now the guns aren't all that expensive, which is pretty nice. They're like $280, something like that. So a pretty good base gun. He used it for quite a few months. I think he played maybe 6 times with it or something. Just kind of went with it, but he had always planned to HPA it. So it's in my hands now, and I've done the work to it already. So we'll start from the back and go to the front. He did put a Crytek stock on here. It's just the, standard Crytek crane stock. It's on really all of their guns. In the back here, of course, we have the FCU. It is a Polar Star F2. You can see the engine right there, red. F2s are fantastic. I did a F2 for him in an M4. And he was always happy with it. F2s are very air efficient. They're dual solenoid, which is awesome, so they're just superior. In terms of settings, I've got, close bolt on, which is what I do. 30 rounds a second for full auto. And then I do have to have the DP pretty high. I won't mention any of the other settings, but the DP is pretty dang high on this thing, mainly because it has a long barrel. This is like an 18.5-inch barrel, so it's a really long one. The inner barrel stops like right here, so it's really long. So when you have long barrels and HPA and you use heavy BBs, you have to have a higher DP because basically you have to have more air going down your barrel to get your BB out. So proper cycling and everything. So the DP is really high on this. It's still really air efficient. I mean, F2s are incredibly air efficient. Moving forward, it is a metal buffer tube, a metal lower receiver. This is kind of like a Crytek, so it takes M4 magazines. It doesn't take a box mag or anything special, so you can just use M4 mags. Some fields do not allow these guns to be LMGs because they're M4 lowers. To each their own. I think a lot of airsoft fields regulate their stuff way too much. They just want to pretend that everything's military and everything has to be realistic. You have to have a magnified optic if you're using a DMR. Like, they regulate everything, literally everything you do. It's really dumb, especially for open plays. Open plays, there really shouldn't be any rules in regards to your weapon other than FPS. And minimum engagement distances, for certain types of guns. Like, I don't really recommend using full auto like under 25 feet. That's just kind of something I've always done no matter what. FPS I'm shooting, I just don't really blast people that close on full auto. It's just kind of a courtesy thing that I've done. Now this is a longer gun. It's not really heavy. This is a pretty light gun. He did say his field allows this to be an LMG. I asked him twice. I was like, you're sure they will allow you to use full auto on this? They're not going to restrict you. And he said, no, they won't. So it is in California. I'm not sure which fields he plays at. I know a lot of the fields in California can be a Nazi when it comes to rules, but really you have that all around the country. So like I said, he's in California. I asked him twice to double check that he is allowed to use full auto on this. He said, yes, they allow it. Like, this is considered an LMG. This is an outdoor gun, of course. This is not an indoor gun for sure. Basic pistol grip with an IGL in green. I also did a IGL in his other F2, and it was green as well. I guess he just likes that color. The charging handle is on the upper. It's kind of cool. It kind of flips down, and you can just rack it. This button, you press that, the top cover opens up, so it does have that LMG look. It's got the cover. You can put fake bullets in here. You can see the gearbox. It's just a crappy Cyma OEM gearbox up in here. But you can see the F2 red. It is metal, this whole top part. It does have the back sight on there. It does have a Picatinny rail, so you can put an optic on here. The front here is key mod on left, right, and bottom, and then Picatinny on the top. So you could put a vertical foregrip, angled foregrip, rail covers on here, anything like that. I don't see a flashlight or, you know, anything like that going on there because this is an outdoor gun. But theoretically, if you do play night games, you might want to put a flashlight on there, or tracer BBs, you know, something like that. There is a QD Sling Mount up here. There's one on the other side, and then there's one on the stock too. So if he has a second one, he can put one here, and then he could sling the gun. Again, the gun is not that heavy at all. It's a pretty light gun. So this would be nice to use as an LMG, in my opinion. Maybe not at a milsim, but open play should allow this stuff. Who cares if he uses an M4 mag? You should be able to do the LMG rule and follow the rules, of course. You know, some fields allow higher feet per second for LMGs, like 450. This one is just going to be ran at a typical 1.5, 1.55 joules with 0.3s, which is, what, about 390, 385 with a 0.2. Now, up front, you have this carrying handle. It's mounted to the barrel, front sight, and then again, the barrel is about 18.5 inches long. It is aluminum. The barrel does come out. If you push this button down here and, you know, grab the handle, you can take the barrel completely off. Now, this is only running 30 rounds a second. It's nothing whopping crazy. I typically like LMGs for 25 to 30 because, you know, LMGs are for keeping people's heads down, support, you know, and so I don't run 35, 40, 45, 50 out of an LMG. I normally like to do that with shorter guns, lower feet per second, and just, you know, go ham with it, if you will. Since this is a longer, kind of a supporting gun. Now, hop-up wise, it is using the stock inner barrel brass. It also has a ProWin hop-up unit, and then a G&G green bucking. I just did the G&G green because Amped Airsoft had it in stock. You know, it was like $8, pretty cheap. I've had pretty good luck with those. I also had a Lone X50 that I could try just in case. I kind of like the thicker, harder buckings for LMGs with lots of full auto because the soft ones can rip. And typically those are for lower feet per second sort of deals. All right, so after taking a second shooting it, it actually appears that we need to be on 95. So that's right above 90. You see 80, 85, 90, 95, 95 PSI. It's very consistent. So again, 330 to 335, we're seeing about, you know, 1.55 with a 0.3, which is normal for HPA LMG use. So that first mag ran fine on semi. Let's do this one on full auto. Same mag brand mid cap. Absolutely flawless feeding with these mags, 0.3s, and 30 rounds a second.